Hi, my name is Lena. I'm the chair of Intact Denmark, and today I want to talk to you about local politics and how to include intactivism and the prevention of circumcision and other types of genital surgeries on, for instance, intersex children within the municipal framework. And with me today I have Jacob and Kåre, who are local politicians. That's not quite true because Kåre has just left politics, but they have actually introduced the first healthcare policy in a Danish municipality that works to prevent circumcision and other types of genital surgery. And I think that this initiative is not only Danish national history, but perhaps even world history. So, Jacob, how did you come to think of introducing this policy in your municipality, Ballerup?
Yeah, so I was just elected a politician in Denmark, and there's a bit of transition period when you're elected in local politics. And I was thinking of a debate which was ongoing in December in 2017, that I had to do something. Now I'm an elected politician, and I might be able to do something. I had no idea what to do or what would even be possible, but I knew I had to do something about circumcising kids and children. So I did that I took contact to Lena from Inside Denmark, and I wrote to her and asked, is there something we can do? I asked my local group, the rest of my party in the city council, and we agreed that we would hear what Lena had to say, and is there anything we could do? We was a little bit skeptic. Is this a national debate? Is there anything we can do as a local politician? And then Lena came up with this brilliant idea, I have to say, that we could introduce it in our healthcare policy in our city.
Yeah, so what I had done, I tried to do some homework before I visited with their group, and I had looked into how this particular municipality was, the workings of that municipality, because at least in Denmark, each municipality works in a slightly different way from the next municipality. Mm. And in your case, you had a good but very, very old health policy, which turned out to be an advantage for this cause. So what did you do, Kåre?
Yeah, as Jacob mentioned, he was newly elected. I was chairman of the Liberal group, and we were the newly elected team were three. I was also deputy mayor and deputy chairman of the Social and Health Committee, and that's where health, politics, etc. is founded. And when we heard of Jacob's idea in the group, we were really strong in support of that and supported the idea of having Lena coming out. And when she mentioned about the health policy, we thought, well, that could be the way in, because then it will be in something existing. It would not be something, a standalone project where we would have pros and cons. It would be part of a greater policy, and that could be the way in. And the way that we do that in Ballerup is, if we want to look at new policies, etc., it's typically when we negotiate about the budget. And this was in 18, beginning of the election period. So I brought it up when we, in the group chairman group, we discussed, started the negotiations about the policies. I said, well, are you aware that our health policy is from 2006 and now we are 2018? Shouldn't we regenerate that? Shouldn't we renew it? And every party said, okay, that's a great idea. And it came part of the budget deal for 2019. And then, well, very early, and I have to say this was a long process, and that's one of the points in all of this, be patient. Because we started in the committee, the Social and Health Committee, talking about the commissioners for having a policy, and we started, okay, already here we need to put in something about the well-being of children, their health and their both physical and mental health, well-being, etc. And that was part of that. And then we started working with the actual policy in the committee. And that was a long process. And patience was needed because I brought up this about circumcision, said we should have something about we cannot do legislation and prohibit anything, but we can give information and prevention. That's what we do, and that's our job as local authorities. And they nodded, and nothing happened. Then the administration came up with the first suggestion, nothing in there. I mentioned it again. Second, there was a lot of iterations, nothing really happened. Then we came into the spring of 2021, last year, and the final said now we are getting to something that would go out first to all the other committees in the council for a hearing, and nothing about circumcision. I said, well, now you gotta listen to me. And then I set up a proposal, a formulation, said I would like this paragraph put in. And that came to a vote, and it was 3 against 4. And I just need to add that we are in a council where at that time, out of 25, 16, the majority, absolute majority was Social Democrats. We were 3 from the Liberal Party, so we were absolute minority. So we couldn't just push this through. We had to convince others that this was a good idea. But I got 3 of them in the committee, 1 Social Democrat actually, to support me. And well, so it didn't come in, but we had it as a part, as an addition to the hearing material going out to the other committees. And then Jacob and the other one in our group, Susie, they defended it and talked about it in their committees and got some support, but still none of the committees had a majority for it. But then it came back to us. And in that period, we had, of course, lobbied with the other party groups. And they had thought, well, maybe this could be a good idea. And there was in 21, there is a local election. And in Denmark, there's a huge national support in the populations to support our cause. I mean, to have, to work against circumcision of children. And actually, then we had a meeting. And suddenly the majority said, well, we would like to talk about this. There could be, and then they had some ideas to some formulations, etc. And we talked about it, and we agreed about a text. It went out in an external hearing, and nothing came in on that. So on the 29th of November last year, we agreed on the new health policy, including a paragraph about prevention against circumcision. So that was a long process, and we had to be patient. And one thing that we also talked about was, should we go out now, get some public support, go into the press, etc. But then we thought, well, with that, what do we want to gain from this? Do we just want to gain some, hey, people think we're great heroes, or do we actually want to have a new policy? And as it was the latter, we thought it better be a little bit low profile, work on the internal side. And that was a good idea, because we got everyone, when we had it in the council, 24 out of 25 council members voted for, only 1 was against.
Congratulations, very well done. Very arduous work, but it worked out. And you have already inspired other municipalities to follow in your footsteps. So we know that several other municipalities out of the 98 municipalities that we have in Denmark right now, we know that several municipalities are working with this. In 4 municipalities, the work has gone public, but we also know that other municipalities are working on this issue, but a little bit, it's in the pre-works, so it's not public yet. But how did it feel for the 2 of you to introduce this initiative, knowing that it has been a very, very controversial debate nationally, and several of the current and previous ministers have described it as the greatest international foreign policy crisis in Danish history? How was that for you? Have you experienced a foreign policy crisis in your municipality?
Well, so Ballerup city, which is our municipality, is a quite big what's called a business municipality.
Yeah.
There's a lot of industries and a lot of different business, international business. As I know, none of them have left us yet, and have not any plans of doing that. So for a local perspective, there's not been that problem. One thing which also have been our goal to achieve is also to press our national politicians to take this debate again and be able to support it another time when they can see a local party member otherwise can support age on circumcises.
And I can say, well, we didn't actually have a discussion about, international politics and etc. So because I really believe that it wasn't about convincing, except maybe for the one, most of the other council members that circumcision on children is a bad idea. I think that most of us agreed on that actually. And they also knew, well, we're not talking about prohibition because that's not within what we can do in a local government. But it was more saying why. I mean, there was like when I brought it up for the first time in my committee, it was like, what has that got to do with anything? That's national politics, like, and I think that was the hardest thing. That was convincing them, saying, well, this is actually also local policy. And the way I did that was because in our health policy, we had a lot of focus, and that's a very big focus in Denmark right now, smoking and alcohol and youth. So we had a lot of, we had said to prevent that, pregnant women are smoking and that babies get smoke from cigarettes, or that young people start drinking, etc. And I said, well, that's the same thing, isn't it? I mean, we do not legislate about prohibition about alcohol or smoking for children, but we are informing, we are preventing, etc. And the same thing with circumcision. And I think the long, and it wasn't that easy, but the long talk about that made the difference. So we didn't have that, security and foreign policy, etc. We didn't have any of that. It was about what has this got to do with local policy. That was the issue.
But so now it is local policy.
Yeah.
Now that question is out of the way. So next step is implementation. And what are your thoughts in that connection? So
I took over in a course committee now after he left us, disappointed, but that's how it is. And it's just the beginning of a new period after the election in 2021. So we only have the chance to step together, but we are committed to do a strategy or find out what the focus point, how should we translate the policy into physical evidence,
local actions.
Exactly. So that is where we are now. We are not that far. We're still working. In my perspective, this. Our job is to make sure that our school teachers, our children carers, all the people who meet these children is able to spot illegal activities for circumcising, and they're also able to advise parents on not to do it and why it's dangerous and why it's not a good idea to do. So from my perspective, this is why we're doing it, and that's how it should be translated in some way into action.
So, thank you guys for your excellent and hard work, and it's definitely not over yet. And thank you for taking an interest in genital integrity. And let me just finish with a fun fact, because Kåre here is actually a knight. He was knighted for his work in Danish politics for so many years. Thank you for joining Intact Denmark. We hope you enjoy WWDOGA.
Find Intact Denmark on your favorite social media or visit our website www.intactdenmark.dk. If you're lucky, you can also meet our volunteers. They go all in the fight for genital autonomy. We welcome volunteers and members from all over the world.